No. Oh, okay.
Hi, good evening. In the absence of our chair and vice chair, I'd like to call to order the October 9th, 2017 regular meeting of the Environment and Utilities Commission. Like we do every meeting, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. You stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to ask the commission to nominate a chair this evening. So we have need a nomination and a vote on a temporary chair for tonight's meeting only.
I'll nominate Ms. Hawkins to be the chair for this meeting.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Great.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
All right, great. So we are going to start with if there are any presentations from the public. Doesn't look like we have any. Any commissioner communications this evening? No, nothing, great. Okay, so then we're going to do a consideration for the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, and we need a motion to approve that.
I move to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Yeah,
Second.
great. Everyone in favor? Aye. Great, so motion carries. And then the next thing on our agenda is a presentation and discussion regarding the sewer system for the plan update.
Good evening. Vin Kay, Supervising Engineer with the Public Works Department.
Hi, my name's William Roberts.
Okay. Tonight I'm here with a Public Works Operations Manager, William Roberts, to provide an overview of our sewer system management plan update. Bill comes to us from across the river, where he was the former utility superintendent for 21 years. He brings a wealth of experience. He's also the current president of the American Public Works Association, comprising of over 500 members. I'll go over an outline of tonight's presentation, and Bill will provide some, additional detail. During the presentation, feel free to, engage us in questions. I find that works best with staff at this level, okay? Jennifer, can you get the PowerPoint up, please? Slideshow.
Bottom right, on the lower, next to the slide bar. Keep going right, on the bottom, to your left, right, one more, to the left, right there.
Okay, thank you. Let's get to the next slide, please. Oh.
Click right there. Here you go. If you need it.
Oh. Well, I'm going to hand it to you. Okay, as mentioned in the staff report, the the sewer system management plan is a regulatory requirement and must be updated every 5 years. The purpose of and goal of that SSMP, in addition to, regulatory requirements, is to provide an up-to-date document, to document institutional knowledge. Currently, staff is actually working on the draft SSMP, and then Bill is going to go over briefly the findings and recommendations, and we'll also talk about the next steps, which includes going to council next. So with that, Mr. Bill Roberts.
Thank you. Good evening. Let me adjust this for you there. There we go. Make sure I get this clicker going the right way. Yes. Oh. Oh. There we go. Sorry about that. No pun on Vin, right? Okay. Oh, which one?
The wheel.
Oh, center.
The wheel.
Oh, gotcha, okay. Okay, let's get started. Okay, a little bit of background on the regulatories. So on May 2nd, 2006, the State Water Resources Control Board adopted statewide general waste discharge requirements for sanitary sewer systems, herein referred to as a general order. The purpose of this general order is to ensure that wastewater collection systems are properly operated and maintained by the municipalities that are in charge of their operations. The general order applies to all public collection system agencies in California that own or operate collection systems comprised of more than 1 mile of pipe or sewer lines and convey untreated wastewater to a publicly owned treatment facility. The principal elements of the general order include requiring each agency to prepare a sewer system management plan, SSMP, and report all sanitary sewer overflows to the SWRCPs, which is State Water Resources Control Board's online SSO database. The goal of the general order is to minimize sanitary sewer overflows, which we call SSOs. So whenever I refer to SSOs, you know what that is. Okay, moving on. Okay, the
Bill,
Yes.
I have a quick question for you.
I'm sorry.
How has there ever been, and if so, how often has an SSO resulted in a discharge to a water of the United States in the city of West Sacramento?
In the city of Sacramento?
City of West
Oh,
Sacramento.
West Sacramento. For West Sacramento, I've been on here for roughly 8 weeks. As far as the
Not
background,
during your tenure?
not yet, hopefully. So,
We do, and we have occasionally had discharges, and mostly that's during construction activities where an old, semi-abandoned force main might have been hit during construction. And for the most part, and because we have a SSMP in place, we're able to contain it quickly. And we're required to report on those on a regular basis. So I think, other than that, there's been instances where sewer laterals have failed, and and we have to fix and repair those. Those we also have to report. Okay.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. So feel free to questions in between and stuff. So I wasn't ready for that one, but feel free to chime in, and we'll go from there. So if you refer to the slide, SSS, WDR, all these acronyms, right? So Sanitary Sewer Systems Waste Discharge Requirements. So basically, we're trying to establish an online sanitary sewer overflow reporting, which we have in place now, which is growing immensely. We developed a sewer system management plan, SSMP, and the order number WQ 2013-0058, basically amending monitoring and reporting program for statewide general wastewater discharge requirements. So again, modify the reporting requirements and actually modifying the record-keeping requirements. So that's a huge task, but we are streamlining it. Okay, next slide. Oops. So the purpose and goals is to provide a plan and schedule to properly manage, operate, and maintain all parts of the sanitary sewer system This will help reduce and prevent SSOs, as well as mitigate any SSOs that do occur and maintain reliable service in the future. Oops. And to go back on the slide, what you see right there is a manhole. Obviously, it's overflowing, so we're trying to prevent that. And, to be, with our maintenance plan we have in action right now, as you can see, to respond to this is, time is of the essence. So, it's a general safety hazard for the public. It's a terrible thing. We're trying to prevent that, as you can see. Okay, so the SSMP purpose and goals. Number one is cooperate. Work cooperatively with local, state, federal agencies to investigate the causes of minimize and mitigate the impacts of SSOs. We want to meet regulatory requirements, which means all the regulatory notification and reporting requirements. We want quick responses, as you can see from the previous slide. So be available and responsive to the needs of the public to prevent and restore interruptions in service and to minimize public health and property impacts related to SSOs. We want to be proactive, right? So implement regular proactive maintenance of the system to remove and control roots, debris, and fats, oils, and grease. It's known as fog, that may cause SSOs. So a little bit of background on that. So pipes, we got roots and, from the trees that go in there. We have, fats from the businesses. And so over time they accumulate and it just causes a blockage in the main. So over time it gets worse and worse. So we want to prioritize projects, renewal and replacement of wastewater collection system facilities to maximize their useful life and optimize capital expenditures. We want to maintain the SSMP, which will serve as a reference for the city's sanitary sewer system management practices. Any questions? All right, let's go to the next slide. This is an overview of the draft SSMP. If you look on there, it says number one, we're going for the goals. And number two, organization. We have the legal authority. Number four is operation and maintenance program, design and performance provisions, and overflow emergency response plan, fats, oils, and grease control program, system evaluation and capacity assurance plan, monitoring, measurement, and program modifications, SSMP program audits, and communication plan. So all this will be in our draft SSMP. And do you all have a copy of that? Okay, you do. Okay. Wasn't sure what was provided to you. So hard to see, but I'll try to make sense of it for you. This is our revised org chart for enhanced understanding of responsibilities. So basically what you see is an organization chart for the management, operation, and maintenance of the city's wastewater collection system is shown. So of course you see a city council and city manager down to the director of public works. And then below that box you will see the managers. And below that you'll see your superintendent. So it's a gamut of employees and management to make this SSMP work for us. So we're all a team here, and down to the maintenance worker, and also temporary help as well. So we train. I mean, we're very diligent on training and getting these men and women up to par of what needs to happen. So with that org chart, I'll be happy to answer any questions with that. If not, we'll move on. Next slide. Okay, you see a lot of stuff here. So basically, it's a revised org chart for enhanced understanding of responsibilities. It's the city's legal responsible officials, which is called the LRO, and data submitters, the DS, for wastewater collection system matters are identified in Table 1, along with their roles and responsibilities for the collection system operations. Data submitters are authorized to submit electronic and written spill reports. Legally responsible officials are individuals authorized to enter and certify electronic spill reports and other required submittals on behalf of the city to the SWRCP. So again, if you look at this, you'll see city council, city manager, and it'll basically tell you what their roles and responsibilities are. So let's see, I am the Public Works Operations Manager, LRO. So I was told I am the LRO, which I am happy to be, and I'll take full responsibility going forward, right? So. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Let's see. Okay, this here is City has legal authority to own and operate its sanitary sewer collection system. The West Sacramento Municipal Code establishes this legal authority and is available online. So this is what it shows. Basically, all your requirements on the left, and then the legal authority reference on the right. So I can read each through those, or you have a handout you can refer to later. All right. Moving on, the city operates and maintains 14 lift stations and pump stations as well. Here are the maintenance activities performed. So you'll see a gamut, again, of the component type on the left. You'll see our frequency, which is monthly, quarterly, biannually, annually, and no PM at all. So with our daily operations, we have a system in place where the employees go and perform all these activities. And so it's very imperative that they conduct these and keep track of the status, and very important. So, any questions? Okay, going to the next slide. I like this one. I had to ask Vin this morning, and I go, what is that? You know, it's color-coded. I can't read this on the bottom, right? So basically, it's a great strategy. It's implementation of the system-wide cleaning and inspection as identified. So it's color-coded. It's based on priority, and we're looking for a 5-year plan to inspect the system. And meaning, so if you look down there in the blue, that's Southport. So that's fairly new infrastructure, construction. So basically, that's fairly new. So as you look up towards north, that's imperative, that's priority. So we're going to base this on color-coded. And I kind of like this. It's simple. It tells everything right there. And it's going to show the plan of our troops and where they're going. So I do like this. And where I came from across the river, it was pretty complex. Over here, it's perfect. I like this. It's black and white, or color, actually. Okay, any questions?
Just real
Sure.
quick, is that going to be included in the, maybe I'm not seeing it, but is that going to be included in this packet? That map that you're referring to?
That is actually from our sewer master plan.
Oh, okay.
It's basically the outcome of our existing system analysis. You know, the red, orange, and then green, and then light blue and purple. So that's the progression.
Right, I was just asking, it didn't need to be in this draft.
I'm not sure if it needs to be in, but we can certainly incorporate it. Sure. It is in the draft format, and like Bill says, I think this would be handy to include in there.
Okay.
So one more question. You mentioned the sewer master plan, and then there's this plan, and what is the relationship between this plan and the sewer master plan?
Sure. Yeah, the sewer master plan is a bigger document that also prepares for, you know, development and looking ahead to 2035. It also includes a model of sewer flows for the entire city. Now, this SSMP is a maintenance document that the city needs to update every 5 years. And this is something that we have to provide to the regulators to ensure that we adequately staff for, that we have a plan in place to deal with spills, to prevent spills. You know, it's really geared towards our O&M staff. The master planning is geared towards development and longer-term capital improvement projects, you know.
So the master plan might inform, and I would expect it to inform this document, but there's not a, you know, one-to-one distinct relationship?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I also think for the public, this is a great reference, you know, as far as color-coded and what goes on in the public. So we're trying to think of the customers as well. So he and I are kind of experts in the field, but if we were to present this to the public, they're going to go, well, what is this? So it's a great reference. So thank you. So moving on to the next slide. Let's see here. Oop. I knew I'd do that. Okay. Here, see the flow charts. It provides a step-by-step guidance. So basically, number one is the notification process and response procedures. This is vital. These are vital documents for the people in the field, not only for the people in the field, but for management as well. So at time, these flow charts, they get revised, and it kind of flex into what's best practices. So it's a living document. It's great. It's what our crew it goes by. And the notification process, like I said, it's key. It's a Cat 1 sewer spill going on. You'll know who to call, when to call, and how to call them. So right here is the Bible, is what we live off of. And so again, it provides a notification process and response procedure. Okay, here's the required actions. They're tabularized to ensure a consistent response from staff. So all this is saying, like I talked about a Cat 1, so you see on the third column over, it says, if an SSO is greater than or equal to 1,000 gallons, notify Cal OES at 800, here's a number there, and obtain a notification control number. So again, right here, it's really step-by-step. On the far left, you'll see action, which is notification. Go down the column, you'll see reporting. Then the third column is water quality monitoring. And then lastly is record keeping. So with that, as you move across column to column, you can really see what needs to happen. And like I said, this is very informative for the crews and also for management staff. And if things were to change as far as regulations, regulatory requirements, we'd also change this document as well to correspond with the regulations. Okay, moving on. So findings and recommendations. Okay. So again, we're going to continue to be proactive management of the collection system, which is vital. We're going to implement system-wide cleaning inspection programs as recommended in the master plan, like Vin talked about. We want to establish and maintain training for new or updated elements of SSMP. Maintain SSMP as a dynamic document for collection system management. So all these bullet forms right here is very important that we just continue, implement, establish, and maintain. Okay, our next steps. Basically, let me scroll the next slide here. We'll ask that the Environment and Utilities Commission review the SSMP. We will be asking that council approve the updated SSMP as well. Any further questions?
So our last meeting, and I can't remember the exact title of the presentation, but we heard about the baskets. What did you call it? The baskets that go into the
Trash capture.
trash capture. So
Right.
how do the new trash capture requirements fit into this? Because I see those baskets clogging up with leaves, and I imagine there's potentially some issues.
Completely separate. So that's storm sewer. This is sanitary sewer. So the trash capture units are only going to be affecting our storm sewer system, and this is sanitary sewer. So
Two different systems.
this, yeah, totally different part of our system.
We are fortunate that we don't have a combined storm sewer system,
Oh,
sanitary
okay.
sewers. There are some jurisdictions who have combined storm drain and wastewater, and that's not a good thing.
Okay,
We're lucky we don't have that. And also, we're also lucky that our council had the foresight to annex our treatment to regional sand, and that we're no longer having to deal with the wastewater treatment plant, because otherwise, our SSMP would not be this simple. It would be far, far more complex.
Very good. And then one more question. I noted this tiny little section about private sewer laterals, and I understand those are generally in private ownership, and owners are responsible for that maintenance. But does the city have any kind of ordinance that requires testing or maintenance by property owners for those laterals?
Yeah, the big question is laterals, right? Who owns them, who doesn't, and then actually responsibility of, for instance, a private SSO. My philosophy is this: they're the customers. I want to help somebody. We're not going to go out there and say, 2 a.m. and we can't help you. That's just not me. So we're going to do our best to maintain the customer service. And let's say if it is private lateral, okay, I get that, but we're going to provide the best customer service that we can to our individual people. And then we will conduct, pH testing to whatever needs to happen to establish it is an SSO.
Very good.
Yeah, and to clarify on that, generally, especially with the newer sewer connections, there's always a clean out, usually at the right-of-way point. And then, the lateral from the clean out to the sewer main, the city takes responsibility for. And then, on-site towards the house, usually then that's the responsibility of the property owner, where the property owner can hire a plumber, clear that clog if that happens to be over there.
Yeah, it's a point of service, POS, so you see if they clean out, and Vin's correct. In fact, it's hard to see it, sometimes they're buried, we get calls in the middle of the night, it's a customer, and, yeah, we need some serious help. We're not the first one to say, call a plumber, and we drive away.
we clear it.
Yeah, we're going to clear it, it's going to prevent a lot of contamination and just take care of the issue. Then, when it's all said and done with, we'll look at the, logistics later, and with billing and whatnot.
Very good. It's good to hear.
Any further questions?
Maybe just a comment. On this topic of laterals, that there are, some neighborhoods in the city that are older and their lateral lines are galvanized, I think maybe galvanized, or older materials. And so homes built in the 50s or 40s or earlier.
Black tar paper.
Right,
yeah.
okay, thank you. And so,
It's bad.
yeah, so, I had that issue where I lived, and it's just an age factor.
Sure.
But I guess more of a comment of, is there some kind of like effect on the main system, or is it, when they fail, they generally just fail in that area, and it doesn't tend to cause any problems further down, like to the connection, or where they're connected? Just the aging neighborhoods, I guess. We have a
Sure.
disparity in our neighborhoods in the city, so.
You are absolutely, you are correct. It is a issue that we're going to have to address. There's some older existing neighborhoods where we have shared services. There's a Y coming from two different neighbors, and then there's only one lateral leading to the main. Now that colorized map that we showed earlier, red, orange, green, and blue, that's kind of the overall plan that, as far as priorities and where we're going to do the inspections and the cleaning first. But we may, modify that slightly and go to localized neighborhoods as needed. As you may or may not remember, when I was here to present on the CIP for the sewer master plan, we kind of identified the, condition assessments. And the, some of the concrete pipes that have eroded due to off-gassing, those areas might fail first. So, yes, age is a big factor, but we're actually finding that depending on the pipe material, clay may actually hold up longer, better than concrete. So we've had failures in the Westmoreland's neighborhood from the concrete pipes in there. In other places, the clay pipes held up nicely. So in order for us to kind of plan out the projects, we have to go in there first. And before you can inspect it, you have to clean it. So when you go down there with the camera, you kind of have to flush ahead of it. And during that process, you may not be able to turn back. So there may be some immediate fixes that you have to adjust right away, and then come back with a larger project and replace, 500 feet of main, and then make sure the connections are good to each of the homes. So that's a process we'll be undertaking in the next 5 years, and we'll be prioritizing the neighborhoods and localizing and coming up with localized projects to assess, as we go through this CCTVing and cleaning process.
So you mentioned common laterals, and I'm just curious how responsibility is apportioned among property owners for common laterals when there's a problem, because that would seem to me to pose some issues. You'd have one property owner say this is a problem, and the other one doesn't want to pay to get it fixed. How does the city approach that?
Well, in those instances, if we're coming with a new project, I would split it. We would have separate laterals. Our city ordinance requires each of the lots to have its own services. If it's an existing condition and there's a clean out there, we make sure it's clear. If we have to install a new clean out at each of the services coming into the Y, so be it, we'll do that. So that's one of the ways that we have to adjust it with some of these older connections.
Yes, we want to help the customer out 100%, but like Vin said, we experienced a lot of offset laterals, Orangeburg pipe, which is a tar paper, and old clay pipe, and even plastic, SDR 35. So when that happens is when the line goes in, our jet line or rotor, it goes past the point of service into the homeowners, and then it breaks off or breaks their line. They end up suing the city of West Sacramento. So we want to help them, but at the same time, it's a catch-22. And we want to make sure that we cover the city of West Sacramento at the same time we cover the customers. So there must be some happy medium somewhere where we can meet in the middle. So.
Just kind of my question in summary. So I believe, I'm not sure how long ago it was when you presented the master plan for the sewer to us, and that kind of summarized the budget, the money, what we plan on doing, the priority, and I remember seeing the map in that one, I believe, the same map, prioritizing what needed to get the attention first from the money for the budget. And this is more of a emergency plan of when there's, or some of it is for reporting back to the agencies that require this on what happens when this spill happens or this, and the response time, and what's the process, the procedure, who we talk to. As far as, I'm sure this is compliant, that we're meeting the minimum and then some of guidelines that are required. And how are we in comparison to that? Are we, just, meeting what's required, or are our standards here in the city above and beyond?
I asked the same question about 20 minutes ago.
Our goal is go above and beyond. That's why it's beside the regulatory requirements. We want to enable our crews and our staff, with binders, with their own portable guides, so to speak, so that,
Guidelines.
each of the utility crew members know what to do when they do encounter an SSO. And again, it needs to be a living document. As the regulations change, we'll have to update it. Ideally, we're going to be able to clean and flush our, sewer systems every 5 years. But again, that costs money, and that's why we identified, I believe, a $2.8 million CIP to do the city's citywide CCTV inspection. And then out of that, we had a little bit of money set aside for some projects that we expect that we'll have to do in some of the older neighborhoods.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. So now we're moving on to the calendar for our next meeting. Looks like it's December 11th, 2017. Is that correct? And any other reports from the city staff?
Not at this time.
Great. Any future agenda items that the commissioners would like to request? Nope, great. All right, then we move to adjourn. Do we need a motion, or we just adjourn? Adjourn. We're adjourned. Thank you.